Let's get into the player ratings. Let's start off with Vicario. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 3. Didn't get close to any of the goals yesterday. I thought his kicking out the back was fairly poor as well. I think one of them did lead to a goal or lead to a big chance as well, his kicking out the back. And I just thought it was... I mean, I wouldn't put it down to him because I think the chances were pretty from point-blank range, but I don't remember seeing him do anything good apart from maybe one save in that second half.
Yeah, what I would say about Vicario, I was pretty disappointed with him. I think I don't think it was his fault, but you look at Isaac's finish for the first goal, it's not directly in the corner. I think there are probably times this season when he might have saved that. Obviously, the second goal for Gordon, he gets a big hand to it as well. And again, it's a close range finish. I'm not going to blame him, but he gets a big hand to it. He'll be disappointed maybe he didn't stop it. So I don't think it was his best game.
I think like he could have come out a bit earlier for that third goal as well.
And a bit, yeah, that's also a point. He hesitated bad. He did come out and then he went back. He hesitated. Yeah. So didn't show decisiveness for that third goal, and obviously that led to them scoring. And I thought from corners he looked quite dodgy. I know he wasn't flapping, but he didn't come out or be commanding or anything like that. He didn't inspire a confidence in the back line.
Can't do it all on his own though, can he? Like,
no,
his defender's got to protect him as well.
Of course not. And actually, looking at the stats, they only had 5 shots on target and scored 4 goals. So it tells me they didn't have a great game.
Pedro Porro up next. Him gives him a 3. I gave him a 2. Obviously, for the second goal, he just plays Newcastle through on goal, which was, I don't even know what he's doing at that moment. But apart from that, I felt like he was all over the place defensively for the first half. Went off early in the second half. Did get an injury. So it looks like we could potentially be going into the North London derby with Emerson Royale at right back. We haven't heard any word about the extent of the injury, have we?
Yeah, I think Ange said it was a little tweak. He said he felt something in the first half and allowed him to continue in the second half, and that's a real disappointment to hear that, because it means they risked aggravating his injury, and he's such an important player for us, Pedro Porro. So I don't think we can afford to have a long-term injury for him. But I thought Harvey Barnes was giving him a really tough time. Obviously, horrendous error for the second goal as well, completely playing it blind back into Anthony Gordon. I thought there was actually some good stuff from him at 2-0, like he was some really good build-up play, but we didn't make anything of it in the final third, so it came to nothing. And then defensively he really struggled on the day, so probably his worst performance of the season.
Romero up next. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 2. I don't think he was, specifically at fault for any of the goals or any of, well, maybe he should have been doing more from the corner, but defence was all over the place from corners, and at that point your centre-backs do need to step up, and Van de Ven and Romero, Udogie were just nowhere to be seen from any of the defensive corners, so he's got to be marked down from that. And I just felt like that backline was lacking leadership massively throughout the whole game, and he's got to be providing that leadership to the back line. And I felt like his head dropped, and I felt like he let his standard slip, and in the second half he just started to be that old Romero where he just starts hacking down people and just gets clearly visibly frustrated, and I don't like to see those signs from Romero.
Yeah, obviously I think he ended up getting booked in that second half with a really poor challenge. I thought he really was getting frustrated with Isaac. He really struggled to deal with him. I thought he was a bit more composed than Van de Ven. I thought on the day, I thought he was dealing with a few better situations a bit better than him, but unfortunately didn't mean much at the end of the day. And Romero was really, really poor. I was really disappointed with him. It was just one of those days he had lost his head a bit. And I thought, sorry, for the first goal, I would say as well, he made a big mistake going towards Gordon, leaving Isaac completely free. He should have stuck with Isaac and allowed Van de Ven to deal with Gordon, and that kind of caused a lot of confusion as well.
Next up is Mickey Van de Ven. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 2. I mean, had his hand in 3 of the goals we conceded, and was nowhere to be seen for the defensive set pieces as well. And with his height and with his strength, he should be better in the air than he is. He's got to be. And I don't know why. The defence was just all at sea for every single defensive set piece that we've had in recent weeks, and he's got to be a central figure to that. First goal and second goal, he gets played massively in trouble, but he slips at the wrong time, and obviously he's the last line of the defence, and every other game he sweeps up and he does it into such a great level, but in this game the quality of the attack just outdid him on the day, and he ends up slipping on the third goal. Again, he's the last line of defence, and he just couldn't keep up with Alexander Isak. And unfortunately, it was his worst display in a Spurs shirt.
Yeah, what I would say is the first and second goal isn't a sweeping issue. It's an issue of him trying to make up for other people's mistakes, and that's very different to what the kind of defending he's been doing for a lot of the season, which is mopping up balls over the top when he has the pace to recover. So I felt for him a bit in those moments, albeit him slipping is obviously not a good look, and he probably could have stayed on his feet and done a bit better in those situations. When you're making up for terrible errors from the back, that's going to be always difficult. The third goal was what I give him the most criticism for. I thought his positioning was really, really poor on the day, on for that goal. Could have been a bit deeper, made sure that Isaac, he was going to get to the ball before Isaac did. I thought he was, obviously Isaac ran from his own half, keeping himself onside, and I thought Van de Ven didn't deal with that situation very, very well at all. And all that put together probably was his first probably bad game, you'd probably say, in a Spurs shirt for Mickey Van de Ven. But I do think a lot of the criticism for the first two goals is a bit over the top, in my opinion.
Next up, Destiny Udogie. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 2. Obviously, the first goal he was nowhere near at the levels for. I'm not sure who was it again. Was it Gordon?
Gordon.
Just completely did him, and he was not. And with the strength that he does have, he needs to be standing up to him a lot more and a lot better than he did. I thought Anthony Gordon as well, just on a general note, just gave him such a torrid time throughout the whole game. I did feel like he improved in that aspect a little bit. But still nowhere near good enough on the day.
Yeah, I was very frustrated because in that for that first goal, he actually does the hard bit. He gets in front of Gordon and wins the ball, and then he just makes a horrendous error. Like his touch should have been much more in front of him instead of to the side, and he allows Gordon to bully him off the ball. Like how is he allowing that when he should be having the physical advantage there? Puts us under pressure, and obviously we go 1-0 down. I don't think he recovered too much from that. I thought on that right hand side, Gordon was causing all sorts of trouble. I don't think Destiny Udogie had that side sorted whatsoever, and I thought going forward as well didn't really cause too much of an effect for Newcastle. So and then end of the day, it was a poor display from Destiny.
Next up is Yves Bissouma. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 2. Another shocking display from Bissouma. And for me, he needs to come out of the team for that North London derby. We can't have a player showing those kind of levels and application in a game of that magnitude. I mean, he was nowhere to be seen. He was on the pitch for about an hour, and I don't think I remember seeing him once. I mean, the guy was hiding. He must have been hiding because I didn't see him. Nowhere near the required levels.
Yeah, I thought it was shocking. There were a few times the ball was played to him and his touch was just completely off, and he was just all over the place. I thought in the first 16 minutes, 20 minutes, he was okay, but as soon as Newcastle took the advantage, he went completely hiding, and I thought his display really suffered for it, and he was rightly hauled off. The one thing I would say about him starting the next game is I thought Hojbjerg came on was probably just as bad or worse than him, so I don't know what we do going forward, but terrible game for Bissouma.
Rodrigo Bentancur. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 3. I was actually quite impressed with him in the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I thought he was winning his duels. I thought he was trying to spur us forward as well. But I don't know. I mean, he did drop off when the team dropped off and we went 2-0 down. But there were some, I guess, slightly positive signs from Bentancur.
It was a weird one from Bentancur. I thought off the ball he was poor, and there were some moments where he got absolutely burnt from Gordon, struggling to keep up with him and just seemed a bit off the pace. But on the ball, he actually looked quite good. He was using that press resistance ability to dribble and nutmeg a few players and get away from a few tight situations. It looked like he was actually going to have a good game. But unfortunately, off the ball is where we really suffered from Bentancur, and he wasn't able to keep up with Newcastle's transitions, and that was a big problem for us. So on the ball, again, signs of him getting back to his best, but off the ball, he's still not quite there yet.
James Maddison up next. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. Probably Spurs' best player on the day. He tried to show a few signs of leadership, tried to get on the ball and slide players through. I mean, in the first 20 minutes, I think he was central to the chances that we were creating. He was trying to be that hub of the team, but he was trying to do it on his own at times.
Yeah, I thought he was definitely our best player. He was the only one getting on the ball, looking to pass the ball forward, play riskier passes, play little 1-2s, trying to keep the ball in better positions as well. Also set up, I think he set up the chance for Werner, I think he did, which Werner hit his shot went near the corner flag, but I thought he was doing some good stuff. I thought in the first half as well he probably had only shot on target, which was an effort from 25 yards, but it wasn't a great effort anyway. It wasn't his best display, but I thought for Spurs, he was the only player trying to take the game to Newcastle and trying to make something happen. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I think another one was Ven and Johnson, who we'll move on to next. Falls all round. He was putting some good deliveries into the box in the first opening 20 minutes. He was the one getting down that right-hand side and beating his man and putting balls into the box. But apart from those first 20 minutes, I don't think we saw him again.
Yeah, he burned pardon the pun, for that in the opening exchanges. It looked like, oh, maybe it's going to be a really tough day for Damper. Maybe Johnson could really get the run of him. But unfortunately, it was literally the only time he did it the whole game. And he did set up a chance for Werner. It was a difficult chance. It wasn't an easy ball to deal with from Timo, so I do have some sympathy for him on that one. But yeah, apart from that, he had a few runs at the Newcastle defence, but he was restricted of the space he likes, and unfortunately wasn't able to be effective.
Timo Werner up next. Him gives him a 3. I gave him a 2. Obviously, everyone goes back to the chances that he did miss. I mean, finishing was absolutely horrific from Timo Werner, but at least he was getting in the positions where we could have a sight on goal because no one else was. And again, after those first few chances that we had in the first opening 15-20 minutes, he was nowhere to be seen after that.
Yeah, he'll get a lot of the criticism because all the chances we did have fell to him, and his shooting boots were most definitely off on that occasion. Obviously, one set up by Brennan, which he blazed over the bar. One which Son actually played a really nice outside of the boot pass to him, and he cut inside, and his shot hit Sonny on the return. And then another one set up by Maddison, which he completely skewed wide. So had 3 presentable opportunities. If one of them goes in, maybe it's a different game. Maybe Newcastle have to change the way they play. So we'll never know. But other than that, after those 3 missed chances, never really threatened.
Yeah. And last but not least of the starting 11 is Heung-min Son. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 2. I did think it was probably, if not the worst, one of his really bad displays of the season. He just couldn't impact the game whatsoever, and it culminated in Ange having to haul him off after an hour. I think it was a bit harsh on him because there were a lot of other players on the same level as him in terms of performance, but he just couldn't seem to apart from that one ball that you're talking about, the outside of the foot one. I can't remember one kind of good moment where he can impact the game. And
on top of that, I actually think he was hurting us badly because I believe 2 of their goals came from him giving the ball away. I think the first goal, he gives the ball away, where it's actually a chance for Tottenham to create something. He gives the ball on the edge of the box and bam, one transition, they're in and they score. And the third goal as well, he has the ball on the edge of their box, poor touch from him, gives the ball away, and all of a sudden it's 3-0 and one long ball over the top and bam. So not only was he not creating, but he was actually actively hurting us, unfortunately. It's hard for me to say that because I love him so much, but that is the truth. And it was a really bad day for him, and he kept trying to come deep to collect the ball and get involved in the game, but I felt like whenever he came deep to get the ball, he kept being fouled, and they weren't allowing him to get involved. And yeah, apart from that one pass to the outside of the boot, couldn't really do much. Don't think he had a shot at all on the day.
Pape Sarr, who came on with around half an hour to go. 5s all round for Pape. And I thought Pape was all right. You know, he came on, added a bit more energy into the midfield and kind of stemmed the tide of Newcastle just creating chance after chance against us. Albeit, they only had 5 shots on goal throughout the game and they scored 4 of them. But I do think that kind of stopped when Sarr came on the pitch.
Yeah, I thought he was all right. I don't think he added. I think at that time, you know, we're keeping the ball a lot and we're looking to try and break Newcastle down. He didn't really add too much in that avenue. Defensively, he was okay, but obviously doesn't take much to be better defensively than what preceded him. But don't think he added too much, to be honest. Yeah,
and the same has to be said for Pierre and Hojbjerg as well. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 4. You know, after a couple of good displays over the last couple of weeks, this one was probably a step in the wrong direction.
I thought he was shocking when he came on. I thought he kept passing out of play every single time. There was one pass right at the end, I think it was like in the 90th minute, where he's like 30 yards from goal, and he passes it like it's a shot, and it just goes like right into the crowd. But as a pass, it's like, maybe the kit is the problem. I was thinking at that moment, was like, is he trying to find a guy in the crowd thinking he's one of our teammates? I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I thought his passing was a shambles. I thought it was a horrific cameo from Hojbjerg, and he obviously came on last week and did a great job, but I thought he was shocking when he came on in this one.
Yeah, it's a culmination of the kit, 12:30 kickoffs and being away from home.
And Newcastle.
It's just like, what is it about Spurs and 12:30 kickoffs?
Yeah, we can't handle them.
We're not very good at them. And last but not least, Decky. Sim gives him a 5, I gave him a 4. I mean, added a bit of energy, but I don't think he added much.
I actually thought it was a good cameo from him, to be honest.
What did he do?
Yeah, I actually thought he was quite creative. I actually thought he took people on a couple of times. I thought he was quite strong, and I actually thought he was trying to get some shots off as well, and he was trying to make things happen. I was actually quite... he was trying. When everyone gave up, I thought Kulusevski was actually trying to do something. So I thought it was actually a nice cameo from him. But unfortunately, we were 3-0 down and wasn't much to do then.
Yeah, I said last but not least, but now it really is last but not least, is Giovanni Lo Celso. Sim gives him a 5, I gave him a 4. I mean, visibly rattled, wasn't he, at the end of that game with that little spat with Bruno Guimaraes after Guimaraes was trolling him, holding up the 4, saying we've beaten you 4-0. Little bit of Brazilian and Argentine rivalry stemming into this game. But, yeah, I mean, Gio didn't really offer much either.
Yeah, he only had 10 minutes, tried to add a bit of energy, was getting on the ball a bit, but unfortunately... wasn't really enough time to impact the game.
Ange Postecoglou's 3s all round for big Ange, and yeah, worrying signs, particularly away from home. We can't seem to play anywhere close to the level of performance that we play at home. To lose 4-0 and not really hurt Newcastle as much as we did as when making the changes, nothing seemed to work. Set pieces are a major concern, where they had about, I don't know how many they had yesterday, but they could have scored on probably 85% of them. We just seem to be clueless when we're defending set pieces, and he hasn't seemed to improve that throughout the whole season, and this one was probably the worst of the lot. Like, how many times did they just have 3 men in the box? Like, none of our defenders are tracking anyone. No one's looks like they can be asked to defend set pieces, and you know, he's got to take a massive bear of the brunt on that, because he's the one that keeps saying that we don't need a specialized set piece coach or anything like that, and we've been saying it for weeks now. Like, we need one desperately, because if we don't, we're just going to keep conceding goals like that. And we're so lucky that they only scored a set piece from till the end of the game, like in the last 10 minutes of the game. So it's nowhere near good enough from Ange Postecoglou. I think you must have seen the worrying signs when 2-0 down at half-time, and nothing that he said or did at half-time made any impact on the game.
Yeah, and he's been quite good with his proactive substitutions lately, you know, making subs at half-time when he feels like things aren't working or need a change. But unfortunately, this one, 2-0 down, he didn't make any changes, and he had to wait till it was 3-0 before he made the changes. And then about 3-0, the game was well and truly over at that point. So maybe he could have made some change at half-time. But the really big concern, as you're saying, is the things that we're not very good at. There doesn't seem to see much progress at the moment in trying to fix those issues. How bad we're looking in transitions, there doesn't seem to be much progress there. The set piece issue doesn't look to be much progress there. You know, scoring goals without basically getting it to the winger and cutting it back and getting a tap in. You know, finding other avenues to attack opposition. Doesn't seem to be much progress there as well. So definitely food for thought for Ange Postecoglou, and a lot of things to be concerned about. A few red flags appearing. A lot of things to work on. Not to say they can't be sorted, and not to say you know, we have to throw out all the good work just because these are still problems. But the fact that they've been consistent problems for a while now, and there's no real evidence at the moment that we're sorting those problems, has to be a big concern.
Absolutely. So that is our player ratings for the post-mortem, which was Newcastle 4-0 yesterday.